Oh yeah, so chapter four, or sorry, week four. Yep, we finished this one. I'm going to leave rocker arm to you guys. I'm going to jump into the four metric objects, but I'm going to have to, so I'll open up this assignment first, and then I'll go back to CAD and open up my template. So essentially what we need, yeah, I think, and I think it tells us which. Oh, I've got a miss. I've got, yeah, I'll fix some of my wordage here. So four metric objects, we're going to complete this four metric objects drawing on our metric template that we created yesterday. We just need to upload the drawing in the PDF. So place the objects on the A3 size sheet, 297 by 420. Do not include dimensions. We're going to do a half scale. Maybe it's the first time we've actually had to adjust from a 1-to-1 to a half. So, and then we're going to use multiple viewports to individually place each object on the A3 drawing sheet. Use the following resources to complete it. So I think I've got the dimension PDF here, which is here. If you can't see this very well, it's probably going to be better to open it up on the PDF. Sometimes the more stuff we have on our drawing, it's harder to see just from the screenshot. I'm going to fix one thing. This says A4 size template, so that's a contradictory statement in that little, let me edit this out while I'm in here. So this is misleading. Use these dimension millimeters to create the objects, I think is all I need to say. Good enough for me. Let me make sure to miss. Yeah, this is what our finished drawing is going to look like. So let me go back into this. It's wood. Yeah, that was misleading. It is going to take your A3 size to fit these. So what I've had to do, even to dimension them, I had to, I think, go to a third scale, or maybe yeah, I think I went to like a third scale to be able to fit them all on this drawing with their dimensions. Of course, they look a little bigger here. This is because I can put them at a half scale without dimensions. If I actually had to dimension them, I wouldn't be able to fit them at a half scale, but I can. So the work you'll be able to do will be more representative of here. It really wouldn't matter which order I put these on my drawing, by the way. These are just four separate drawings in model space, and then I've used a viewport to zoom in on them. So really they can be placed anywhere in model space, and I could start with any one in particular. It doesn't matter which one. I don't think any of them are harder necessarily than the rest. So maybe I'll start with these two. Maybe I'll just go this one. It's maybe a harder one. These two maybe are the harder. This one's maybe easier. Yeah. So I'm going to open that PDF though for this week, which is the four metric objects PDF. So I've got this. That's not the one I want. I want it with dimensions. That one. Yeah, this one looks better to me to study here. So yeah, I think if I start this one, I'll just start with a simple rectangle and then start following these dimensions to place. I'll use my array command probably a fair amount here. I might use my mirror command too. So if I stop and just look at this one, not to say like I feel like this is a good candidate for doing some mirroring. I might if I just look at I might just draw a full rectangle and maybe I'll put these details in on the side and just mirror those across for these ones. I could do that. I could actually put these and then mirror them across. I could do technically I could do my mirror could be really be these features, these two whole features, and three of these slots, and then mirror all of those kind of like a hole and radius features across. That might be what I do, is I just do this. And this one I might do only draw one and do an array of this, like a rectangular array, like three columns, one row to do these three here. And then so this end up might be an array and then a mirror after I get all that to actually put all these on the other side of that. That's kind of how I would probably do this. Kind of gives me half the work to do. And so really the only thing I really have to draw is, I don't know, mostly I draw some simple features and then just mirror them and array them. Yeah. It's not to say you couldn't have drawn one here and then do those as a full array. That might be just as simple as mirroring these ones across. So, sometimes I'll stop and think about this a little bit and say, actually, maybe I'll mirror these two full holes and these two radiuses across. And then maybe I'll draw this one and do just a six pattern array, and then that's done. And yeah, put in some center lines and some center marks. Okay, I think so. Start with that. I like to think through that a little bit. Try to put yourself through a little thought process and how you proceed. And then sometimes it changes as you go. All right, so I'm going to open my metric template. So it is a DWT that I'm looking for. It's the metric 2025 one that we made yesterday. Open it. So this is how far I got. I created all mine. I have my viewports locked down. Single viewport on each layer. I'm not going to use the A4 size one, but yeah, I'm going to save this as a drawing number. So I'm going to change this to a drawing file. I'll place it in my week 4. 4 metric objects in class for me. And we'll start from scratch. So it doesn't matter where I draw those in here because I can rearrange them however I want with my viewports when I create some additional viewports. So I'm just going to draw the outer rectangle here of that one part that I said I'd start with. It's 420 by 420 by 200. So it's 420 by 200. Sometimes if this happens, I might move this. Yeah, it can be helpful to have like center lines on stuff like this. So I might turn on my construction layer. Um, Center lines are pretty easy to snap if you have that midpoint grip on, that triangular grip point. I'm gonna end up mirroring some stuff across this. Not that I need that line to show it, but maybe it's just a visual for me. Um, I don't know if anything's technically measured off center. I don't think it is, but sometimes center points, like sometimes you will get a lot of dimensions that are pulling off maybe a center point. And in that case, it's helpful to have those. I don't really have any dimensions pulling from a center point, but I just put them in anyway. Not totally necessary. What I am looking at is maybe these features here. And right here, it looks like they come off 75 and then 50. They're actually dimensioned on this side. I'll probably put them in on this left side over here first. I could say 2 places here. I could say 2 times just because there is no dimensions for that over here. It's understood that those are in alignment. Even it would be so I look at this and I think, can I make some corrections for clarity? Should these center lines pull through to show alignment? That's debatable. These could pull across so that I don't have to dimension over here. Or I could actually say 2 places, and that would be inferred that these are the other 2 places. Like I could do a 2x 75, 2x 50, and that would infer that these are the same. So this could be left a little bit of a gray area, then is what I say as far as these locations. I'm going to use these, and that is what it is, 75 and 50. And they are at a radius of 12. So let's put those in. 75. Yeah, I think I can just do that from a circle itself, like a circle radius. The first one comes up 75 from here. And I'm on the wrong layer. That's okay. I'll still snap it. It's 12 radius, I think. Yeah, it's pretty close. How do I do that? Oh yeah, yeah. So I'll do it again. Let me push this. I'll match properties real quick of this object line and this one. And that's a quick way to push it to that layer. Um, yeah, yeah. So if I'll do that again from like if I came from down here and I just paused for a minute. I didn't click. This is my like cursor tracking is maybe what I call it. So you have to lock in on a point, and then I kind of start to my cursor in that direction, and I get a feed like this, and then I just said 75 and hit enter, and that moved my cursor to that without drawing anything. But you'll see me do that a lot, right? I've been doing that since pretty much drawing one, as I do a lot of cursor over. Go ahead, Lydia. Oh yeah, like let me that's good. Let me pull up this. So I'm kind of zoomed in on that PDF on this one, and it's right here. So there's only one. There's 4 times radius 12, and so this one is the one that's giving you those 4. Yep. Yeah. Anytime you see this like 4x, like really challenge yourself to be like, where else is it on here? And the same with this. This is a little bit hard to read here. Like I've got 2 leader lines running right to each other. So to me, I would look at this. If I was a checker checking my own work, I'd say these two are running together. And it would be better if I separated these a little bit more. And so I feel like to separate these, they're kind of bound in that 420 dimension here. I mean, this is me talking about how I'm going to think about dimensioning this, but this is a poor to read. And sorry, I'll cast to your guys' computer since you're here, but I always forget it. Always remind me if, and then you can decide if you like it or not, and then we can have that conversation. But I think you can always just window me down and out if you need to. But so I'll throw my screen to you guys. But what I'm looking at is I don't love. So you're making me like think about, okay, yeah, that 4x. If I see that, I would need to find in this drawing what that applies to, and they should be very similar features is what I'd be looking for. So that 4x definitely applies to these four because they're very alike. This is a 4x by 24 diameter and essentially the same radius as that, but this is in the diameter. But I don't love that these run together. So if I were to like fix this, I'd probably pull this 420 dimension up a little higher, get it out of the way, and then I could create some separation. I could pull this leader line a little bit higher than this one and just create some separation. I do not like looking at this, seeing how those two run together, and they get a little confusing. One says a 12x, 12 by 12 times a radius of 12. So that's all these top radiuses of these slots. We'd call this a slot, even though we have no idea how deep this is. This has the features of a slot, and it's got 12 millimeter radiuses. And these holes are 24 millimeter diameter. And there's four of those. One, two, three, four. Yeah. So sometimes you just need to go through and like check that things make sense. This says 5 times 38 millimeters. So that'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So each one of these slots is 38 millimeters apart. Yeah. But that's how I cursor up is the one thing I was looking at. So the next one I'm going to cursor up is that, move this over again, is 50 millimeters. The next hole is like 50 millimeters from that one. So I can actually grab that circle command and cursor over here to the center like this. That perpendicular one is, I think, grabbing the center point. If you're unsure, you can always hold down shift, right click, pick center so that I can say that's where I want to cursor over and then drag up. It might not work if I'm in that command like that. Now that I look at that, it might want me to just be there. There's a good center. And then I pull up and I say 50. So some people are annoyed by that cursoring. I just use it a lot you just have to target a grip of sorts and then just pull in the direction you want it to go. It's a little bit annoying. It's a little bit of a fine. You have to kind of hold a pretty fine mouse movement to be able to do that. This is 50. Uh, that is not 50, sorry. This is I will use match properties. This one is going to be the same size as this one. And then this one I drew way too big. I have a diameter of 100. It's only supposed to be what is it supposed to be? It's only supposed to be 12. So there's 24, or I could put the radius. But that's a way to switch your so because my properties tab is up and I drew that thing way too big, it just comes up over here as its features. It has its radius and diameter in the properties. And so I can change dimensions from there on a circle. So that's handy. I've been telling a few people as I've worked with some assignments with people that have stayed a little bit late and kind of working through some troubles. You'll find that you make some errors, and what I've told them is uh, it's better for you to try to modify what you've done than always just like initially here our drawings are pretty simple. It's easy just to group select this thing, delete, and start over. And I know that's kind of a gut reaction sometimes when things are messed up. It will be good to start to modify stuff. Like in reality, you're in the trade, you might be given a lot of like pre-existing work, and so that you're generally not always creating from scratch. And sometimes you're working from stuff you'd rather not have to work from, but it's already there, and they don't want you to start from scratch. They just want you to remodel this, scale it, stretch it, painstakingly kind of modify it, and so I get used to that. When I make an error on my drawing, rather than just, hesitate for a minute and be like, do I have to delete or is there somewhere I could modify that? And challenge yourself to look for, repairing your stuff rather than bailing on it like a pilot that's crashing in a plane, right? But sometimes I do bail. So there is times to pull the eject and delete, and there's times to say I can modify this. These will have to be on a half scale, a 1 to 2 scale to fit on the on that sheet. Yeah. So because they're already this is already 420 millimeters wide. So this is one of the bigger objects. It wouldn't fit on that without being half scaled. Yeah. So I'm going to trim this up a little bit. These features really are just radius features, slots there. I think that's correct. I think that this distance, if I measure this distance, is the same. This should be 75 to center. Yeah, it's 75.9. Okay. 0.0009. So it's a little bit off. There's some human error in this for sure. If I measure this distance, which is what I started with, it's 75,009. I'm not sure why that is. That's weird. But what is this? There is some human error in this, though. I will tell you that. Like when I'm drawing by hand here, that's a true 50. So I'm gonna keep going. I'm not gonna worry about it too much, but could be that I'm not grabbing an endpoint. I'm grabbing a perpendicular point here. Yeah, I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna put the other two circles in here, the other two full circles. I have them as 32 millimeter up, 32 up, and the spacing on them, I hope I've detailed. If I'm not, you can't draw this, and maybe I haven't. So there might be a missing dimension here. We can probably figure it out though. 32. Well, technically, I probably could figure it out. It's 63 over and 32 up, and I think it's going to be the same here. So while I don't have it across, I feel like it should have been a dimension there. I'm going to make a red line on my own drawing. Oh, by the way, these used to be in inches, and then I converted them this weekend to millimeter drawings. So there's probably going to be some errors in me doing that. And the reason why I did that is because what I found last year is I didn't do enough like just general sketches with the millimeter templates. It's like we did like one or two, and then we did everything back to inches. So I wanted like another 4 drawings in millimeters. So I did convert these. So I do feel like there might be some error. So if you find some, let me know. But I do feel like I've kind of found one. What I'm looking for is the placement of these holes, and I do have 32 millimeters up, and I have 63 millimeters in. And this thing is meant to be symmetrical. So this is really a truly symmetrical part. It's truly symmetrical. If I split it vertically in the middle, everything is the same on the left and the right. That's why you can mirror it if you wanted to. And if I split it horizontally down this like middle axis here, it's symmetrical kind of top to bottom. So there's a lot of ways to draw this, but it is a part, it's something to put your mind through is like this part is truly symmetrical, meant to be. And so these I can start to infer some things here, mainly because these holes have absolute center line alignment shown. So that allows me to say this is 32 to this one. That means this is 32 to this one. This is 63. This is 294. So I do get the placement of these. The one that's a little bit vague is in between here. So if I were to check this as a checker, while I have that it's 32, likely 32 down this way, and I can place this hole, I think a dimension that would be helpful would be the center to center spacing of the hole, especially on a really critically controlled part. Those might be really critical, the hole pattern spaces. And it could be that the outside edges of the part are less critical, but these hole patterns are most critical. And so we'll start to learn about that too, is how do I define what are the critical features of the part and what can I let run wild? That's by saying run wild, I mean like it's less accurate. Like this to me looks like some type of a grill or a floor plate or something. And it might be possible that the 200 by 420 are non-critical dimensions. Maybe their tolerance is a little bit bigger. I don't have any tolerance applied here anyway. So I would have to refer to a general note of tolerances that would be applied there. But maybe the whole pattern is really critical, given that it has to match up to something to fasten to or something. So I would approach this part with the whole pattern being a real critical probably dimension. And the dimension, and so that's why I look at this and say, I like the 294 hole to hole spacing. I feel like this hole to hole spacing should be added on the dimensions as kind of a critical hold dimension. Anyway, we'll get into why that is, especially later, but I already want to start that thought process a little bit. Okay. Things matter, features matter, and some features have priority over others. And there are ways to truly define that on a drawing so that somebody can misinterpret it. But right, what I have is and to start those, sometimes I will like to start a hole like that. Maybe I will use a construction line. And I think of course I'm coming from this other area, but it came over here 63 from this side. So I might just cursor over and say it's like 63. That's 63 millimeters. And then it comes up 32 millimeters. So like that. So this is going to be the first hole placement there. And so maybe I'll jump over to uh, my visible object and I'll put in this first hole here. These all have a radius or a diameter of 24, but I'm going to say 12. I could draw the other one or I can just mirror that thing across. So you might see me do a few different mirror commands. So I'm going to pick a mirror command and choose just this one feature. And then I'm going to use this kind of center line that I already have. All you need is 2 points. They don't have to necessarily be grips, just 2 points to create a center line. And I'm going to say no, even though you couldn't see that it put that in over there. And so I feel like those, I'm going to mirror across this line and have those features done. So I'll do another mirror command of all of these features. Sorry, get that one like that. This mirror line I feel like will be my true center of my part, like this. And I can see them showing up over there. I don't want to erase any source objects. So click no. I'm going to trim out this and this. Do I need to give you control of your, can you get logged in, Jen, or is it like locked? Yeah. Oh yeah, because I don't think I'm even broadcasting to you actually. Now we need to create the slot. So I'm going to take a look at the slot dimensioning here. 115 millimeters over. And I think I'm going to draw this first center here. So you might see me do 115 by 50 and put another little construction line, either side, but I think I'll probably start from the top here. 115 and 50. And then I'll be able to start a circle that's also got a radius of 12. And then I'll put one across that's 100 millimeters. So I'm going to build two circles here, and then I'm going to use some tangent lines to build the first slot. So I'll build the first slot kind of start to finish, and I'll probably join it. So let's do that. So I'm going to go back to a construction, and this is just one way. Anybody that's probably already done this has maybe already thought of a different way to do this, and that is fine. But I need to go 115 millimeters over here, and then this one to that first hole says that it comes down at 50 to the center line. I could copy this one over. I think it's the same size, isn't it? That's a 24 diameter. These are 12 radius. Yeah, technically I could use this one or I could draw a new one, but this one is also a 12 radius. Match properties maybe from this one to this one. Yeah. I could do another line if this helps. Like I'm on the construction layer. The other one is 100 millimeters away, and it might be a way to draw from that endpoint to this endpoint 100. So I'm actually drawing that line. This is where the other one goes. Yeah, I could have mirrored that across too. So there's no, but maybe I'll copy this one now. Copy this from the center to the endpoint here. So this is the two radius ends of the slot, and then I just need a couple of lines. So I'll remember to go to my visible layer. And these lines you could draw from quadrant. That's a good snap point. That would be the point of tangency there on that circle in this in a truly vertical line, the quadrant. I could do tangent as well, but tangent isn't coming up unless I really isolate it. Shift and choose tangent like that. But I think I'm going to use the quadrant. And I'm going to repeat that command. And then I'm going to trim this out here.
Where's the quadrant map?
Oh yeah, quadrant snap is definitely this make sure it's toggled on, and it should look like a diamond or like a rhombus or maybe I guess a diamond. But so I'll do it over on maybe on this one real quick, even though I'm not going to draw here, but it looks like that. If I'm snapping to it, it's right there. That is a diamond quadrant.
Sorry, I had your screen streamed first.
Oh yeah, that's good. No, that's all good. Yeah. I don't think we've used the quadrant snap too much, but in this alignment, it doesn't always work. Sometimes sometimes I need the tangent line function to actually touch. When you do your rocker arm number one drawing yourself, quadrant would not be the correct way. You'll see if you when you draw that you kind of do a similar thing where you're connecting a straight line across two circles, and in that case, you have to use the tangent. Um, yeah, so it depends on the geometry. Really, on circles to use quadrant as a point of tangency, they've got to be in the right alignment, usually vertically or horizontally. So there it is. There's one slot. I'm going to join this though, just before, I don't know. This is if I go ahead and like array all this, they'll all be it'll maintain those features, right? It'll maintain that these are separate lines and partial circles. So I'm gonna join this and then I'm gonna do my array just for good manufacturing practices. So I'm gonna join all these parts of this to a single so I've got them to join, right click, and I've got a single selection. Remember, the reason why I'm doing that is to try to help machine interpretation of my object not have gaps or spaces potentially if this does need to be cut by a laser or something. So now I think I'm just going to array that 6 times. So we've done a polar array. We'll do a rectangular array on that. So my array command has those options that we explored last week. I'll choose the rectangular version and wants to know what I'm going to array. I'm going to array this thing. And then I just hit enter or right click. And then it already has an array pattern of 4 at some distance. So I just come over here, just kind of work this over to this from left to right here. Columns 4 actually needs 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I need 6 items. So I'm going to change this to 6. In between, it needs me to tell it what's in between. It's close. It's 36. These are millimeters, by the way. Um, I think I need it to be 38. So I'll change that to 38. And then that should be the end of my, oh, it's actually already patterned itself to have 3 columns. So I zoomed out to make sure something weird wasn't going on, and it is. So I've got 3 rows, sorry, 3 rows. Um, I should be able to swap those the other direction too. But I don't want them. I actually just want 1 row. So I'm going to switch my rows to 1 and then click down. Yeah. So that's a rectangular array command. And then I can close this.
How does both of the ribbon?
Oh yeah, it does it by itself by choosing array. So yeah, so I'll close this and then it'll go back to my normal home tab. But when I chose array, I'll do this again. When I chose the array command and I wanted a rectangular array, and then I chose an object, it will take over and once I select the objects that I wanted, then I would right click or press enter and it'll take over your ribbon for the array controls that you have. So you can explode an array too. So sometimes I use the features just to get them, and then I want them to be independent after that. And I can, if I explode an array, that associative nature of them is gone. I'm going to escape this because I don't want to do that. I'm going to undo that because I don't want to do that. But yeah. So now because these are related to each other now, they won't let you like make a single selection if you want to like copy this somewhere else, one of them. When you select these now, they are tied together in an array command. And so a lot of times that's fine. I would leave them if there's no reason to explode them, then I won't. Otherwise, I just want to leave them because I can adjust them here. It's a quick edit to make, more slots or less slots or more rows or less rows. So I generally keep them in their array. I'll bundle as an array unless I have a real good reason to want to make them individual. And then it would just be an explode this array. Like if I do this, explode this, enter. Now what I'd end up is 6 individual slots. So and sometimes I will do. I think I'll do that on the next drawing actually. Like I might. Yeah, I think so. It might be a reason why I would. I'm gonna reconnect those to an array. Okay. So essentially this one is done except for center lines, right? So maybe I'll turn off my construction layer just for a minute and move over to my center layer and do the center features here. Um, yeah, I think so. I think I'll use my center marks for most of this here, like that one. And I might just copy this one once I get it. I might copy this one. Yeah, I mean, oh, so this one is in millimeters, right? So we still want the 1/4 inch extension, only we want to convert that in our head to what it is. And this one you will get memorized because you'll use it on your dimensions too, and then you'll see why. But 1/4 inch in metric is 6 millimeter. roughly. We don't want to use six and some decimals, so we're just going to use 6 millimeters. So technically, to replicate the ASME standard in this, it should be 6 millimeters. So I'm going to say six over in the properties panel instead of 0.25 like we've been doing. It's actually six, 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 and then six again. I hesitate for a minute because and I went 66, but yeah, there we go. I think you'll notice that you use these same line types in the metric world, and it becomes a really fine at the this thing at a line type scale is one. I'm not going to adjust that now anyway because I'm not on my drawing, but I'm just in model space. But you can see that the pattern in metric is way finer, and I usually have to make it way coarser on my drawing so it doesn't show as a solid line. It's really showing the pattern really well, but when you zoom out very far, it looks like it's almost solid. So it's the reverse of on inches where we usually are having to make it finer in inches. We have to make it coarser in metric. So, but I don't do that until I've got it at the scale on paper and then make that decision at the end. Right now, I just leave it. But I do need to do a few adjustments here. When you have this kind of wild out this way, I'm gonna drag this one back. So I'm gonna drag this grip back to here, and then it's gonna have the essentially 6 millimeter extension, but just out to one side. And that's just because it's kind of an ending feature, and so I still like it to have a tail off that center line, but not, yeah. So I kind of start the 6 millimeter extension from here out. So I use that extension like that. And then maybe I'll copy this down. Yeah, let's see. I'll copy this. Sorry, I'm on this one. Because this one is going to be, might grab just the center. Maybe I'll grab intersection. That's an intersection. Okay. And I'll copy it to the center here. It's just the same mark, so I'm just copying it. One other thing I'm going to do is I think I'm going to join all the outside of this. If you remember, this has been cut now. It was a polygon all connected until I put these in it. And now these are all kind of separate features. So I might just do a join on these features that were separate at first, like that. And I want this line segment, and I'll show you why in just a second. I'm going to show you another command that I don't know if I've shown everyone. It's probably in my videos somewhere, but I'm going to select all those. Now I've got a single selection here. What you'll notice was what's going on here is just based on how it's prioritizing which line I place on top of which line, right? So you get a center line over an object line here. I don't want, and that'll show up that way on your drawing. I don't want that. I want priority is object visible lines and secondary line. I mean, object visible lines are priority on all drawings to not be like overlapped like this or to not be behind or they should always be in the frontmost. And so everything else kind of is a lesser priority than visible object lines. So you can prioritize the arrangement of these lines. I use this. It's a modify command. So I'm modifying what existing stuff that I have. I'm going to modify and right over here, I know I've showed it in a video, but this little drop down past join to the very end has a huge drop down of other things I can do. But this I feel like these are all just like how I prioritize lines and geometry and dimensions. But this bring to front and send to back is what I'm kind of using for prioritizing lines. And so, I mean, I'll have to do this again, but I just want to show it right here that I would say bring to front maybe and choose this as bring to front, this object. And I just click on it. And you see that it now kind of buried the center line behind that. So I prioritized, I chose what to bring to front. And this is actually how I'd want to show up on my drawing. In some cases, you might see him tuck that center line back away from that a little bit. I'm just going to leave mine overlapped and underneath it. But, and then, maybe I'll mirror those across those two marks. I'll have to adjust them on the other side of this, but maybe I'll choose those two, choose the center line here. And now I've got those marks over here. They're just the opposite. No, they're actually good. They mirrored. So mirror is good. What I mean is sometimes I don't prioritize lines until I'm about ready to move over to my drawing space because you'll be continually going back and forth to do this. And sometimes I just do all my work and then I come back and prioritize lines. So the next thing I want to do is just I'm still on the center. I need to put the other center marks on. So maybe I'll do this one. Maybe I'll adjust this one out to 6 millimeter. And then maybe I'll copy this one over to all the other places. So I'll just copy this one from its intersection point or center point. It looks weird, but I think I am grabbing the right grip there. And then over here to the center, over here to the center, over here to the center. So I just made sure I made the adjustments on it first, so I don't have to readjust all those. Uh, I'll stay work on those. This is also the way I work. And sometimes I just try to stay, like finish what I was doing, then move on to the next feature. So these center lines still need some more work. So I'll just stay working on them here. So I want to pull them together. So I want to show the vertical and horizontal alignment. So I'll do that. And I'll probably share the difference here that I think I'll pull it from this grip. You could pull it from this grip too. I like to pull from this grip because I like to keep that 6 millimeter relationship here in case I need it. And if I pull from here, I'm actually affecting that 6 millimeter relationship. So what I do when I pull these together is I tend to pull it from the actual end, not with, not from the extension. And then I might pull it to like reference something like this. I could pull it all the way across. So this is just me like sharing the love here. They both do equal, they're equally yoked center lines. That's what I would say. One is not doing all the work. They're both doing half the work. It's Yeah, I did. Like, yep, I'll do it over here again because I need to do it. Like, I just grab them. I grab them from their main grip, and then I'm kind of referencing the center point. That's what I'm doing. You see me drag over here to pick up that polar alignment. Yeah. So I'm using that polar snap tracking, and you notice I use it a lot. It's just because I'm always looking for an alignment usually, and all you have to do is reference it. Like I could even reference this over here, but you look for that snap tracking to show up. If that's not showing up, it's because your polar snap tracking is not on. This one here, if I unclick this, I don't think I'll get that. So let me try it now. Yeah, see, I can reference that. Oh no, I still will. It's a different, well, maybe. It's another one, maybe. I don't know. This one, maybe? Yeah, snap. This is the one. Object snap tracking, I think. If I turn this one off, it looks like kind of an angle with a dot on it. Then this should be harder for me to do now. So sometimes I like to make my errors that I can't. Yeah, see, there's that, but I don't get the green tracking lines anymore. So if you're ever doing this and you're just like, I can't remember, but you're kind of just struggling to do it anyway, remember that down here on your status bar, this object snap tracking, we want it turned on. Almost, I don't ever turn it off, honestly, because I'm always referencing like this. Yeah, I love that. I love those reference lines. I use them all the time. So those two are pulled across and these two as well. So this gets to be a little bit of a busy drawing with center lines. Pull those across. I know there's some overlap there. I just leave it because if it breaks up my pattern on the drawing, it's okay a little bit. Yeah, I would rather have not have a weird gap there, and so I always kind of have some overlap. But I'll do that on the dimension lines too when we start dimensioning. Those center lines will reach out and overlap onto the dimension extension lines. And then we need to do maybe like one of these and then just pattern them across. So I've got to do a radius feature like this still needs like center line alignment stuff. So if you'll notice on the drawing, I'm pretty much replicating what's on there. I've pulled those ones across. You can tell that when it's a dimension drawing, I have to additionally extend those center lines out to the dimension line. That's going to come in our future when we're dimensioning. Right now, we can just leave all ours just terminated as we just finished. But what I need is this, like a cross pattern here, and probably pull the centers together there. So, and then I'll just do one, and then probably just array them maybe, or just copy them maybe. I don't know if there's an array or not. You can use an array on those center lines, and that'd probably be okay. Yeah. But what I need is a couple more center marks. So I'm on my annotate tab, center mark. I need that one, and I need this one. I could have done one and just copied it, but I'll do them both maybe at the same time here. I'll select them both and maybe change their overlap to 6 millimeter. This comes into an alignment. It just happens to be that I've got this alignment going on. So that's a little bit annoying. So I'll probably fix that. This is the one that I have an option to either pull it a little longer or pull it a little shorter. And I probably will grab the extension grip on this. I know it's 6 how I set it, but maybe I'll just tuck it in ever so slight to break up that. Um, and you could do it by dimension too. I could have said that that's actually, what is it close to? A 5? Maybe I'll just say it's a 5. millimeter instead of 6 here. So I know the rule, but I've got to break it because I've got an alignment there. It wouldn't be the end of the world if I left it like this, but it's one of those small details that we talked about last week, and so that's the bottom extension that I need to be 5 in this case. And then I'll pull them together. This one here, I'm going to adjust same way. I'll reference that, and then I'll do this one. So really, to me, that's like a finished slot center line, and I could array this. So I can just go to array. It's a rectangular array. We can use it again. It's going to be both of these objects because I'm going to array them as one kind of. So I select both, enter, and then it wants to go into that array pattern that I need. It's got a bunch above. I only need one row, but I need 6 of these, and I need them at the same distance that the slots are, which is 38 millimeter. So I've just arrayed my center line. That'll work. Close it. And then I just need to, last thing is push the priority. I prioritize the object when I only had those two, but once I mirrored these over, they've now taken precedence over that. So I'll do that one more time where I'm going to send to front this one. And then this I feel is happy and ready to look at it on a sheet now. If I had dimensions, I'd have to definitely do some different centerline extensions, but this should be how the other image shows from down here. Just the crosses, the center marks. Yeah, so that's essentially what we got. Now I just need to place it really anywhere on here. I don't think this is big enough to fit these two plates like side by side. I think they definitely need to be stacked on top of each other, and then these two will fit. You might not be able to fit them much different. It's like Tetris when it comes to your drawing here. So let's put on some Russian dance music and get this. I only have one object so far. Eventually, we'll need to. So what I do is I'm going to jump over to this. They got to go on the A3 size sheet. So that's at a 1-to-1. That's because I've locked this viewport at 1-to-1. So maybe the first thing I'll do is jump into this, unlock it, kind of scroll this to get a hold of it, maybe. It's going to be a half scale, so I can come down here. That should be one that's already preloaded. Yeah, the 1-to-1 is really common. Half scale is the next one down. 1-to-2, that means I drew it at 1. I drew it at full size. It's going to show as half size. So a 1-to-2 scale, 1/2 scale. If I put that as a fraction, it'd be 1/2. That's the size it's going to fit on here with the other objects. And then I might just pan this down and place it anywhere. I think on my sheet it's up in here, right? So, and I might need more of my viewport than that. So here's how you deal with multiple viewports is I just adjust them so they only fit around this object. So I'll jump back out here for a minute and I'm going to adjust my viewport size. I think for one, I'm going to like drag it almost pretty much to this border because I'm going to use this whole upper corner. But I don't need it to be that wide. I only need to show this much of my object. I just don't cut off your object because it will, right? That'll cut off my object now, however I put my viewport. So make sure I see my object and then just adjust this viewport so that I'm only showing my object like this. And I can click back in here and maybe I can pan a little bit closer to the corner. I want to be off my border and I don't want my center lines or anything that it's extending to touch the border. So this is somewhere like, yeah, somewhere like that. Maybe I can even make this a little bit smaller. Essentially what you're doing with your viewports are is and then I could lock this down. So I'm just going to leave that now. It's at a 1-to-2. Make sure if I panned and rolled, I didn't mess this up. You know, if you scroll, you'll get some weird decimal scale, and I avoid those because I generally, when we get in the future, we will be notating the scale on our drawings. And if you have some odd, huge, weird scrolled scale, that doesn't look good on a drawing title block. And scales always will end up in the title block. And especially if the whole drawing is at the same scale. If I have multiple parts on a drawing, like I'm going to have here, um, then and I might have the master scale shown on the drawing there. But then if there's a view that is a different scale, I have to notate that on that view. So if I have an object here that wouldn't fit, even though I can make it fit by scaling it different than the rest, then I have to actually make like a line underneath my object and say that this is at a scale of blah blah blah. I'd have to call that out. If I'm breaking the scale that's in a title block, normally there's a scale in a title block. And if I have multiple views, it doesn't mean they all have to be that, and I can't do it if they're not. It means I have to notate ones that would be different. And we're not even notating scale here. I'm just wanting to build that realization that this matters greatly. One to two, lock it down. Now what I essentially have is I have this drawing that I can fit a ton more stuff on, right? Like, and the nature of drawings with in mechanical or architectural is you're going to saturate your drawing because it depends on where you work. Some places like more drawings and less saturation on their drawings, so they're easier to read. And I feel like in a digital world where my prints are digital anyway, more drawings are not the end of the world. But in the previous days when everything was hand drawn, and remember we're coming out of that hand drawn world from 25 years ago, even longer than that, right? I think I told you when I entered the workforce in 2020 or 2001, most of my prints were digital. But they definitely saturated drawings and had less drawing sheets with and more on the drawings to like minimize how many sheets they had. So, and I say companies still go by that a lot. But then you have also companies that are really like wanting to communicate even clearer with less, like really busy drawings get hard to read and they can be hard to interpret and they take a little bit more skill maybe and more familiarization. And so I think like if you look at an IKEA manual or something, it's like everything is like, well, it's in a different language. That always doesn't help, but they really break down like how simplified maybe one view to the next is. And but if you look at a set of architectural prints, they might put a whole, an entire foundation's worth of information on one drawing, and it's really busy. So it just matters on, you have to be flexible on what company standards are. And I kind of prefer, I mean, my preference is clarity is better and digital prints are easy. And so I like more prints versus less for clarity's sake, but you know, just something to think about. Anyway, I have all this room to work with. So what I'm going to need to work with it is viewports. I've already used this one viewport for this one object. I'm gonna plan ahead now to have a couple more viewports. So where you add viewports is where when you're in the drawing, let me show you something else that you might not have noticed, but when you're in the model space, it's pretty much typical here. When you move to the drawing space on any of your drawings, you get an additional layout tab, and it's in blue, kind of like catches your eye. Oh, a layout. I'm in a layout. If you click this, which I don't think we've used yet, this is where you add a lot of different things. But the one thing I just want to point out is just to the rectangle, this layout and viewports right here. So usually a viewport is just a rectangle, but we can make different shapes as well. Polygon and different. I use rectangle probably the most, maybe because it has that little star on it and it catches my eye. And that's exactly what our viewport was here, is just a rectangle viewport. So what I need is I got four objects to put on here. So really I can just plan on four different spaces on this right now. So if I add a viewport, I'm on the layout tab. So I've gone from the home tab to the layout tab, which only exists if I'm on a layout. I don't have that option in model space. No layout tab here. So on my layout, here's the viewport selection right there. Rectangular is what I'm going to choose. And then it's just like drawing a rectangle. However, I'm going to abort really quick. Get out of there because it's going to put it on whatever layer I'm on right now. And I'm on center layer. So my viewports would be, I'm going to move over to my viewport layer because I have one viewport. It's yellow. It doesn't print. And now I'm going to choose a rectangle and draw it here. So I've got that other shape. I'll probably draw it similar to what it looks like. I'd assume that you guys would too, like on the example that's been uploaded. I have the other shape, one of them down here. So there's a viewport. It's zoomed into what I have right now. I'll double click on this. Maybe I'll set it at a 2:1 because that's what it's got to be. I'm not going to worry so much about what it shows yet. Um, I'm just going to lock it down right there at a 1:2. I'm going to add two more viewports here too. So and they're all going to show that little one, but I'll move the view. So this one, I won't want it to look at that. I'll move where it's looking when I draw another shape. So the other rectangle, I think I put the smaller little gasket looking part up here in this corner. And I will also kind of zoom it to a 1:2 and just lock it down momentarily. And then I'm going to put one more down here. And then I'm gonna lock this in. So this one, yeah, this is how you actually would use. The moral of the story is, in drafting, we do use the model, the drawing space that we have though. So 1:2 is what I put it at. Yeah, 1:2 and lock it down. So there we go. So now I've got four different viewports. I can zoom in on four different objects. So let me go draw them. I can really draw them anywhere because I can drive this viewport around to look wherever in model space. So let's just draw the next one. Doesn't matter where. I'll just draw it above it here. And I think I'll draw the circular shape here. The array messed up your center lines? Oh, like here. Well, I guess mine don't either now that you mention that. These I would actually need to pull across. So that's a good point. Like if yours, like I didn't zoom in on that and check. I would want these to connect. Yeah, go ahead, Riley.
Actual dot there.
They are not connecting.
Yeah.
So
Looking at the reference.
it's not, it's also, I didn't zoom in and check this, huh? Because I probably did a similar array. So let's fix this, right? I'm not going to delete all this. I just got to fix what I've got here. I could go through and painstakingly do that, or maybe I can delete my array, fix this, knowing that I need to pull that over to probably where the center line is, and then array it, and then they will connect, right? So let's just think about, yeah, let's just think about, if I delete this, I think it'll just delete the array, delete. Delete everything. I don't want to do that. I just want to delete my array. I know what I'll do is I might explode my array. So I might choose that. It's all arrayed. I might explode it. Then I might go through and select these, which you could do like a crossing selection. And if I had more of these, I probably would do that. But I'm just going to get rid of my array because I need to kind of edit it. I could, and so what we found, thanks, Kelsey, is that this I need to be a little bit further, right? And so maybe I'll just drag this point like I did the others, and maybe I'll look for a center point here. Maybe I won't do that. Maybe I will just pull the extension over just past halfway over to there. If you want it to be accurate, I could draw a construction line real quick, turn this layer on. What I need is kind of a midpoint. I don't really have anything to reference here, so maybe I'll draw a little reference line here. And I could draw another one down here. So this is me using some construction line work here. I need some type of a point to pull that to, and then maybe I will just pull this to the center point there. See, that's just as far as it needs to go. If you can't see that, it's because this one's in front. I could send this to back, send that to back, and then I can see that I pulled it to the center line. Same thing here is I could send that to back. This one, and then that's on top. Essentially what I want to do, and I think I'm just going to do this because it's such a small distance. I think I will pull the actual extension a little longer to the midpoint. Now when I array this one's going to have to be longer though too, right? Yeah, because they're going to have to touch. And so maybe I'll do that, knowing that I'll have to come back and so how far is this? I don't know. This is this distance from here to here to the middle. 7 millimeters actually what it ends up pulling. So I could actually come in here and type on the left extension 7. It'll overlap. That's okay. 7. Because I got to think about this thing like if it moves it over there, it's not going to be like long enough to touch there either without this being 7 here on the left extension, right? Now, when I array that, it should be correct. And the only thing I'll have to probably fix is the outermost arrays on those. I think I can, let's see if I can adjust those within the array. It would be a good experiment for me. So that one, they should overlap now. Let's do this. Let's make that the array. I drug those ones together. I actually drug those ones to the center point. So they are overlapped on mine. If you, well, you can always adjust that, right? Like I use this grip to do it wherever. Like if it was however it was, I grabbed this grip, but I actually pulled this one to center on both of them. I grabbed the main grip and pulled them to center. So I do have overlap there. That's okay. Generally, I'd want overlap versus underlap. So when you pointed that to me, I don't like that it wasn't connected. It'll probably show up on my drawing when I actually go to adjust the line type scale. And now I'm going to do this array and then I'll evaluate it. So these two are going to be an array. And they're going to be that one row, four columns, six columns, sorry, at 38 millimeter. Yeah. It's good to question even the stuff. So now I do have that overlap going on there. I don't know if I still get the control over doing that. I think I would leave that. It's 1 millimeter longer. I think I can break that rule. You break that centerline rule sometimes, and I think that's fine, especially where it's symmetrical. What I wouldn't want to have is I know that I'm 7 millimeter here in my array, and I think I'm going to leave it because I mean, it's just 1 millimeter. It's not going to, and it's going to be visually like symmetrical. So I like this. And then I get the overlap that we didn't have before. This is good. This is better. That's a good attention to detail that I miss, really.
Yeah, that's what
Did you figure out, or is it something weird with your center mark?
no, I messed up.
And that could have been, I mean, like having done that now with those center marks, maybe you would feel like maybe if I did the just use the center and do lines, because I don't have to use the center marks to do what I'm doing. I tend to use them a lot, but you could do those as center lines too. Like you could like there may have been a case having done that and had some issues with it, if I were to do that again, maybe I just want to snap a line across here and snap this line across and then maybe just snap one line that's the right line and then maybe copy that across. Like I could have just done this with center lines. And maybe having done this now and seen the difficulty of getting the alignment, maybe I would do that in the future because really I've got, yeah, it's you might find that sometimes just doing a center line, which is just being on your center layer and drawing with a line, maybe that would have been faster, yeah. I don't know. It's all debatable. This is done now, so I'm not going to redo it, but yeah, it wouldn't be wrong to just use center lines as well. And I could have arrayed just a single line across and had these ones just drawn in horizontal. So yeah, thoughts always better, right? That's the idea. If you drew this thing like 5 times, by the end you'd be like, oh, I know how to do this, right? And that's that's how you actually get good in drafting. Is usually it's a repetition where you're like, I've done that part, and you'll notice that good engineering and design managers will usually like people when people get familiar and fast at this particular thing, they'll be like, you're always doing that, you're always doing that, and that's good until you get bored of it, and then you tell them, I want to draw something else. But they do like to if they're good design and engineering managers, they'll put you on the same thing to where you build some proficiency. Let's draw something else. Oh, I can go back and just take another look at this. I think I kind of left. This is the viewport that I'm going to actually be the master of that part. I could do some of that adjustment now that you had me look at my center lines. Maybe I would have noticed if I would have finished off this view, which is just now that I know that it's this scale, it's 1:2 scale. I'm locked into that. This is where it's going to be on my drawing. I can make that line type scale adjustment now here. So I feel like I can come in here and it's a line type scale is 1. I feel like I need to make it coarser, so maybe I'll go up by like 5 here. That was just a total guess. I went up like 5, and I start to see a better visual representation of that line type here. If this gets busy with the grid, which they do, you can always, I'm in this view right now with the navigation wheel shown. I can turn off the grid if you just want to look at it as blank paper behind you. Sometimes that's when you're adjusting line type scale, maybe that grid is a little bit annoying. And that's just down on your status bar, grid on, grid off, like it is in the model space. Well, I am in model space, by the way, and when I'm in the viewport. So 5 is good. Yeah, I think 5 is good. Um, I mean, I can mass select these ones that I haven't done yet. If I do, this is where you have to be careful with match properties, right? Because what it does is it knows its left and right extensions are all, kind of wonky compared to those ones. If I match properties over here, it'll do that. So watch. If I do like match properties, something like this, and I think that I can just I'm looking to match line type scale mostly, but if I actually click this thing, oh, maybe it does work. I was thinking it was going to throw off the left and right, but maybe it's smarter than I think. I hope it is. It is. Good. I was thinking it was going to throw my so that works good, actually. Good. Good, good, good. I like that. And this is where you get that overlap, but I'm okay with this. Yeah. This line type scale, I could adjust probably by 5 again. I think that's good. Yeah, that looks good. Kind of almost naturally breaks away from the object, which is totally fine. So if I match those properties, I feel like sometimes it does mess up. I think this is maybe they've made some adjustments to this program. I don't know. Looks like it's still good. I think I can change all these at once. Yeah. What does that show that's on my construction layer? I'm gonna put it on my hidden layer, probably because I drew it on my construction layer. Maybe it can't let me change an array on this. Maybe I don't know if it will. I think that array might mess me up a little bit. So it won't let me change this one because of its arrayed pattern. So I could explode this to modify this. The more I work with this, the less I like having done these as an array, and I would have liked to just doing them as center lines. But I'm not gonna change that now. I think I'm just gonna explode those right now. Then I can get into one and change it to 5. And then I think I'll match those properties and move on with life, I think.
You choose the cross line drop down.
I don't. Yeah, I've generally left that. I can though. You can see it from the properties that you have control over that. Yeah. So I've been leaving it. Yeah. And now I'm happier with this, I think. Oh, I never did adjust those ones though. I wonder why I forgot to adjust. I think when I went back in, I adjust the top and not the bottom. So that's a little bit of annoying. I mean, this is me being, I think it was supposed to be 5, right? And so that's kind of that may have jumped when I did, I don't know, actually. Essentially, I need to switch all those now just a little bit. I think all of these are going to be a little bit long on the bottom extension. I don't even think I have that on the rubric to check that necessarily. Now that I've broken them up, I guess I can just fix these, even though this is annoying too. Because I actually am fixing the right extensions to be 6 now and only using the ones that I needed. So I'm being a little more, now I am being particular because I broke up my array and I can do my left extension at 6 now that I'm really, but yeah, you can say, I do think that I wouldn't do these center marks the next time I drew this, just out of, but I mean, it looks good. It works good. It was just a little bit annoying. I'll leave that there now. That's all locked. I'll get out of this viewport. So yeah, I should have kind of cleaned that up before I totally went to the next object anyway. So I think I'll push pause. We can take like a 10-minute break and then we'll jump in and do one more object to use this, and then you'll have to do the other 2 objects on here. So I'll definitely hit save. Make sure you're saving this stuff. I've got mine as a drawing, so I'm not saving my template. I did say that if you hadn't finished your template, you could definitely do these in the template drawing and and then come back here and format the template here, and then you can delete them out later, whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna push pause here. But yeah, definitely take a 10-minute break. We'll reconvene at 9:30 to finish the nether drawing, and then we'll move on to the chapter 4 drawings. I can't say I'll finish all those either, but we'll start. I'll do one more object on here though, for sure. I'll do the circular one, the gasket, after a break. And if you need some help while it's break, I can come around and help you here if there's anything you want me to look at. Yes? Excellent. I left that. So, yeah, probably that's the array that I had there.
Is that, is that?
I think I did array them both originally, and then that array I kept, like the slot array you have, okay, I kept 638, one row, yeah. So I made, when I did my setups, I kind of adjust them that I made it. Let's see here. So I would adjust these a little bit. Let's see one. Well, are those center marks? No, they look like they're center marks. Yeah. So, oh yeah. The only thing, like that's not technically that's not wrong. Like that would work. I just tend to do both like half and half, and it's just out of habit. Like it would just be my preference, but nothing out of grade partially one way or the other. But the way I actually did mine is adjust that one so the bottom just at 6. So all we have to be 6 millimeter. That's the equivalent of 0.25. Yeah, quarter inch 6 millimeter metric. That's not what I say is it's not an exact because, but we would want to do like what you'll find is a lot of metric will go to the whole millimeter, not the decimal millimeter, and a lot of like conversion measurements. The text size essentially is 1.125 and the inch, which is just 3 millimeter in metric. Same with here, I just do like a 6 millimeter extension. So you can adjust all these to 6. One vehicle stage. Then what I did is I matched properties on that. So I use match properties, that is set up. I then pick up these others, and that is one property that will pick up. So that's one good step for all the CADD same. The next thing I did, and this is like my preference or not, doesn't have my preference, is I just grabbed the bottom one from the square to it, not exact. And then I pulled it and kind of used it to a line section. I kind of referenced that when I have a hold of it. Grab it like, oh, you don't even need that as long as you have center mark through. So that's it. Sounds like back and grab that. Now, then pull it and then just see what I did. I actually had a center line across there. Maybe go to your construction line. I drew. Oh, you need to trim that out. There is no center line that one has that. Now it will naturally have a center. You don't even need a line. I'll snap it across. That on your center layer, you can push it to construction. That push to your center perspective construction. Yes. Oh, we'll push it back. The center mark. Right? This is your center mark. I just I can see. You have two selected so the both. Right? You had both selected. Yeah, that plus that. We want that on the construction. But see, I think you pushed both, but you had them both. Yeah. That. Now you have like reverse right there. And bring the other up. It'll overlap on the other side. I'm gonna do that the other way too. If you can put a center line down your plate vertical way as well.
So, but then
there's no array on that one. Those just need to pull around. I think it's all. But you need to pull the other side of that one across halfway, and the other one halfway. No, I think I already just the ones across the stuff.
right here.
Well, you need to adjust them first. They're all kind of lacking. So we need to. So the reason why you don't have them here is you get multiple things selected. So it doesn't. So it always, if you ever do that, it'll say like bearings over here. You got like multiple objects selected. Yeah, go 6 and go 6. One thing I already know is do the bottom one at 5. That, we're gonna hold that. That one to that one, it might. It's gonna match everything, so what we wanna do here is actually the top one, we want it to be, okay, 5. The bottom was 6 on this, we're gonna pull it up. The top 5. That's the one. That's only because it's gonna hit the other side line kind of across, so you already know that that conflict, if I was a full 6 there, it's gonna you don't have that full get through. And then now I pull those to the middle, the bottom and top. Now turn to a rate. It's not quite one. What we found is that the 6 millimeter will not hit the other one. So you need to zoom in. What I did, I drew a little line across on construction line during the construction. It's kind of pick point that. So I would get on the lower side. So I use instead of using a distance, I actually use this pull distance construction line to pull that. Which is hard to see because it's buried, but I pulled, in this particular case, I just pulled in the extension. Yeah. Here's some. You need to, I need to pull this little extension over to the sidewalk. There, I just actually pulled it. Over to the midpoint of that one. There. You would have a second two before you were done.
But you do want to.
I do want to. And then you have to do that the other side too. But I think what is that? How long? This is why I've always thought. This is why I thought the rawness of the but escape was just off to some right assumption stuff. I think the right assumption. If you're going to array, it's going to have those features. This is where I needed to take a little longer than 6 because I needed to touch each other from left to right. When I array this thing, I want to touch each other. So that's step out. Now, I'm ready to rate those cross patterns. So choose a rate first. Usually, you probably would that. I select it. Then you can really remove it. You probably work using the engine over. Now choose 1 and 6 and here we go. The last thing you need to do is pull the other. Yep, that's pretty much done. Good. Other than you just need to pull these, the middle, and all the way this way. Yeah. I did. But I did it on my drawing, not there.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're gonna change the line type scale when it's at a 1-to-1, and then you're gonna go to your half scale, and it's going to also, it's gonna apply a scale on a scale. You can do that, yeah, or actually I just do it on the paper, really, like. So you've got that one, it's at the 1-to-2 scale, right? Yeah, I think it's locked down, so now's a good time to do, this is where I did my line type changes. Yeah, the ones you might, yeah, keep going, as far as you keep selecting, those ones, you actually have a pro computer. Yeah, that's good, yeah. So you can select all these and change, I just changed them to a line type scale of 5, so I'm going to coarser. Here's the default 1, whether you're in metric or.
Oh, line type.
Line type scale is the pattern of the line type, yeah. And then there's a couple more though, you have to look at. That's funny because it's like showing.
Yeah, it's like a-
but and then just change them all for fun. Oh, yeah, that's better. Okay, it does look better. Like I argue you probably go like an 8 or 10 even, you know, but it's okay. It'll be good. Yeah.
I could probably
Yeah.
watch the right part of the video, but fill it. Or
Yeah.
I've never been able to match or figure out how to use this fill tool. Is that
Oh,
what I do,
yeah.
or should I use
I
it?
actually would use a circle. So I end up doing it before I do my array. I end up actually having that as a feature of my array, but you can do it now. I mean, you could do like a tangent circle. And you could actually do one and probably array that around its own array. But there's different ways you could get that as fast. But I think it is I don't think the fillet likes that one code on the other side. So I think that command would fail on you. Try it though. Let's do this though.
So if I can fill it.
So to hit fillet, and then we need to hit distance or the radius, right? We need to always preload the radius because if you remember fillets and chambers, the default is 0. Some stupid. So you won't see anything happen unless so you do your radius and then you choose.
Very selectable.
Yeah, something more. It will. Maybe try it again. Fillet radius is 0. So we did, did we hit enter when you did? What is the? It's supposed to be 3. Right, 3 radius, yeah. So do your fillet again, and then do your the distance next. You can either do it is radius, and then do 3 enter. Now it wants to select the first object. Yeah. And the next one will select. I don't think it loves that. How'd you do yours, Candy, on that? Were you able to do that?
Work because the array.
Oh, you could explode your array. That could be. Because it's when you select the one feature, is it all arrayed still?
Oh.
Yeah. So now if you explode that array, you probably can't individually modify it.
That's good.
I use actually, you can escape your array here. And then I actually just use the explode and choose the array. That's explode. Hit that and right click and press enter. And those are all not independent of each other. And that is yeah, right. So you just fill it. X is for explode. Yeah. Great. The other thing you probably will end up doing is hitting multiple. Okay, so now you did one, it only lets you do one, but do that again. Okay. Like go into that command again, just like you did, like it's a fillet. And the radius should be the preloaded one you just did. So it's 3. So hit enter on that. And then hit M for multiple. So I hate this about that. Yeah. Then hit enter. And now you should be in that command able to go click all around this thing. And never get out of it. Yeah, exactly. So I don't like that multiple is not. It's like you have to select. And you have to keep going through this that. There's like I just think you didn't have the other selection. Okay. That's good. Heck yeah.
I just got way too used to like all the 3D modeling software where it just you just click on the vertex or something like that.
It's like
I'm like, it can't be that. I'm just missing something. But
It's
never mind,
super
it is a little complicated.
yeah, I feel like if you're used to other softwares, AutoCAD is still pretty manually data. I mean, the way you're clicking the commands, it still feels a little bit manual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Request bottom right shape.
Do the bottom right shape? Yes. I can do it. I second that emotion. Yeah. Yeah, let's do it. Because the other one. Yeah, let's do it. Maybe I haven't given you enough information to do it. So it could be that we find out that I'm lacking data or something. So let's see. That wouldn't be the first time or the last time. Okay, I've got it. Good. Let's see. Let's challenge. I think so.
Go like piece by piece.
Totally. Kind of like a more of a vertical and horizontal. Exactly.